Hey guys, just finished watching Arrow, season 7, episode 14, Brothers and Sisters. What an interesting episode. I mean, I get the whole idea of brothers and sisters for like the future part and stuff, and the future storyline in this was kind of interesting, but at the same time, it didn't really go anywhere. I mean, they only kind of figure out a little bit. They find she only opens up the cube there, the Rubik's Cube at the end of the episode. That's all we really kind of move on with that storyline. So that storyline just feels like it wasn't moving on. But I guess they needed this episode just to kind of get the two of them together and working on the same page. So I think that's going to be interesting to see as to kind of where things go with their relationships here. We start off the episode with Felicity having some nightmares and stuff. That was kind of interesting dealing with that, and nightmares that kind of broke Ricardo Diaz and stuff. And then Laurel figures out really easy that she's pregnant and stuff. But I think that was an interesting idea. I'm surprised that I don't know why they did Laurel like that. I guess just because I think it would have made more sense to have someone like Dinah, who's a police officer and who's a cop, right, would just kind of pick up on those things a little bit easier. But then again, they can't have her. They didn't want to have her knowing because she's in the future scenes and stuff. So I think that's going to be interesting to see as to kind of where things go with that. And I think that really is an interesting idea. We see Diaz. They end up going with Task Force X, and Diaz ends up turning against them. He ends up shorting the bomb in his neck with paddles and stuff. And I find that kind of a bit weird. Like they didn't have a fail-safe plan in that bomb. Whereas if he tries to electrocute himself or whatever, it could go off. I found that a bit silly that he was just able to do that with the charge patterns without kind of giving himself like an immense migraine or anything like that. They were just kind of, they didn't have a fail-safe plan for him not to be able to kind of electrocute himself, or if they ever have to kind of defibrillate him because he's actually in danger. They don't have, it's not kind of built in to kind of he's allowed to get defibrillated without kind of shorting the microchip inside of his head. But oh well, he ends up turning against the Argus and stuff, and Felicity ends up having him kind of at gunpoint, but then decides not to shoot him, obviously because she's pregnant. But I think it would have been a bit cooler to see her actually kill him and stuff. I think that would have been really quite interesting. I think that would have been quite a fun thing to see, right? I think it would have been quite interesting to see that. And just have her kind of do it because she's pregnant, because she's, terrified for her child. I think that would have been an interesting move. But then later on, she does tell Oliver Queen that she's pregnant. I think that's going to be an interesting idea to see where things go with that, especially with the whole flash forward and, William going that he doesn't really know about her. And William even says in the flash forward that, as soon as they had another child, they kind of completely stopped talking to me and they cut me out, and they never told me about you and all that stuff. Whereas in the normal timeline, we're following current timeline, Oliver at the beginning of the episode, he's trying to call William, and there's no answer, and he's not picking up any phones. I'm assuming Oliver gave him a cell phone so that he can get a hold of him and all that stuff, and he's just not answering Oliver's call. So that could be something that maybe his grandparents took away his phone. Who knows? But it feels like it interesting that if that future timeline, is that going to be set in stone, or is it kind of that's a timeline that they don't want to have happen? And so I think it's going to be interesting to see some moves that kind of they're trying to kind of not have that without knowing. Obviously currently Oliver doesn't know about that future timeline, but that future, but him trying to do the best he can, trying to change things. I think could be something interesting to see, and see him, not knowing about that timeline, trying to do the best he can, and it, still not going the way he wants. I think it could be something interesting to see as to where things could go with that storyline. So I think it could be something fun to see. I definitely could think it could be interesting to see that, and maybe at one point throughout this season or maybe next season, although we only have a few episodes next season, we only have 8-10 episodes and stuff, just to see him kind of see where things could go with this storyline, to see him kind of, maybe he could take up maybe he could try and tell William, leave him a few voicemails next episode. And it says like the mailbox is full, which is kind of interesting. I think it could be something fun to see as to where things go with that. Maybe at one point getting William on a kind of a Skype call or FaceTime, and just kind of seeing him and telling him that she's pregnant and everything. I think that could be something fun to see as to where things go, to see if that timeline is set in stone. And then at the end of the episode, we find out that Emiko is working for Dante, and then we see that Diaz gets burned alive in prison. The Diaz part, I think, is kind of interesting, but it's just like, it was a really cool idea. Get the idea, that there's some sort of that the sprinklers had fuel in it. But I'm just kind of wondering, like, how the hell they do that. I'm hoping that we get an episode next, a line in the next episode where we see maybe Lila kind of digging into it. She tells Oliver and everyone that, someone burned him alive. It's actually him, or is it a fake out to get him out of there? I think that'd be something interesting to see and to find out. I don't know, how did someone replace the water in the sprinklers with gasoline or something? That would be something interesting to find out. And who had the power to do that? I mean, maybe Dante could have the power to do that, but it'd be something interesting to see. So I think it's going to be quite interesting to see as to where things go with all that, especially with Emiko joining, working for Dante. I feel like it's an interesting reveal, but at the same time, it's just like, it feels too obvious that she's working for him, but she's probably just kind of, a double agent. She's working for him to try and get into his organization so that she can earn his trust, so that she can find out who killed her mother, right? I think that's kind of the angle. It's obviously the angle of the way she's doing it. Now, if she turned out to be completely evil and all that stuff, I think that would be the more interesting storyline, and I think it might be the more kind of surprising storyline. But I definitely can't wait to see as to kind of where things go. And it feels a bit kind of, it feels kind of a bit like that's the way Arrow would totally do it. Is just have her kind of, she looks like she's bad, and then you find out that she's been pretending to be bad so she can get access to all of his criminal contacts to trying to find out who killed her mother, right? It's all about whether or not Dante knows. If Dante knows about her mother and all that stuff, and all that, then she might actually be bad. But I think it's more likely, it's like 95% chance she's just kind of playing him to get what she wants and to find out who killed her mother. So all in all, I can't wait to see as to where things kind of go with that. I think it could be quite fun. I'll have to wait and see as to how things go and where things kind of continue on with this storyline. So let me know what you think, guys, about this episode in the comments below. I definitely did hear that Stephen Amell said that the next season is going to be his last season. It's going to be the last season of Arrow, and I think that's kind of an interesting storyline. I definitely can't wait to see as to where things go. The only thing that worries about me with Arrow season 8 being the last season with only 10 episodes is that if Flash, Legend of Tomorrow, and Supergirl continue on, Supergirl will have to wait and see where she goes. If she, with the Crisis of Infinite Earth, she ends up becoming part of the same Earth, then things that she has to be part of this thing. But mainly with Flash and I guess and Legend of Tomorrow, but a little bit more Flash is, unless they kill him off and kill all the Arrow people off, Renee, maybe we see Curtis coming back and he dies, maybe even Diggle, Felicity, William, all these different people. William doesn't have any skills yet, but Felicity, all of these Arrow cast, unless they all die in the Crisis next season after the 10 episodes of Arrow, I need answers to what's going to happen when when Flash goes into their season 7, or halfway through the next season once Arrow's over and Flash is continuing. I need to have answers as to why, Oliver Queen, if he's not dead, or any of the characters from the Arrowverse from the Arrow show who are still alive, why are they not able to go over and help Barry or help Legend of Tomorrow with any of their story? I need an answer for that, and I think that's going to be something that I'm really going to be excited to see as to what is their answer to that. Do they kill off the entire cast of that show so that they don't have to go over and help explain why they're busy? Because even if the actors are done but the characters are still alive, you still need to write an acceptable storyline that's kind of going to be accepted by the fans as to why, Felicity doesn't just, Oliver Queen's dead, I don't know what to do, I'm going to go over and help Barry and help him with Star Labs, or John Diggle's done, he can't work for Argus anymore based on what he's doing in this episode. So that would be something interesting to see him maybe go over to Flash or something like that, or at least if not do that, then explain as to why he can't do that, or maybe you have him appear here and there over on the Flash. Could be something interesting, once every now and then he appears there, or once he appears every now and then over on Legend of Tomorrow. Could be quite cool. Or also, if Supergirl were to come to this Earth after Infinite Crisis and become just another city on the same Earth, I think that could be interesting, and I think it would be really fun to see someone like Diggle go there permanently and just kind of become a recurring cast member on that show. Could be quite fun. there to kind of change that up a little bit. Could be quite fun. So definitely can't wait to see as to where things go with that. I really need to get an explanation as to why, when Arrow's over, what are they doing that keeps them busy to not be able to help Barry Allen and their show and Legend of Tomorrow and things like that. That could be something I need to have an answer for. So I think it's going to be interesting to see as to where things go with all this. It is definitely disappointing, but it is what it is. We'll have to wait and see as to where things go and to see how things continue on afterwards. So let me know what you think, guys, about all this in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have.
Subscribing.
Sometimes subscribing is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
You're still here.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace.
It's over.